time to fear. Carell is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Carell is the one that you need to know. Now it's showtime.
Breaking news, Donald Trump is still an asshole. We'll tell you why. Also, it's the great disconnect. We'll talk about that. And today is a sad day in gay history, and we'll talk about that and so much more on today's Carell Show. Woo, woo.
Now it's showtime.
All right, it is the Carell Show. I am Carell, so very glad you are joining me. Hopefully we are streaming it. I'm trying to find out here. There's always so much going on in the world of technology. But let's hope that we got this going on and we got it going right. I think we do. I think there's some streaming going on. Whole lot of streaming going on. All righty. James is already in the chat room at youtube.com/Really Carell. Breaking news, Donald Trump just canceled a bipartisan signing of the housing bill, which has gone through. I was just reading about what it's really going to do. And, I don't mean to be weird, but I am. But it doesn't do much. I mean, it says it does something to help people buy houses, but I read it and I don't really see, it caps the number of private investors. Okay. I mean, you don't want corporations to own the whole city. But then again, if you're selling your house, do you really care, But it also removes restrictions on certain manufactured housing and other housing. I don't know that that's good or bad. Restrictions are there for a reason, environmental protection, all of that. So, but the number one thing that Donald Trump could do, and the Democrats and Republicans in the Senate and House, to spur home sales is to fix the frickin' economy. Okay? Nothing in there brings down interest rates. They're at like 6.5%, almost 7%. So nothing does that. Nothing makes people feel more financially secure, so they're more apt to go spend money. So I'm like, what's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. That's, by the way, that play, Jesus Christ Superstar, enjoying great success in the UK right now. And I couldn't be happier for them. With Sam Ryder, who I love, Sam Wolf Ryder, Sam Hare Ryder, Sam, whatever his Instagram is, Sam Ryder. I love him. And it's going to go on tour with him. And so I might have to go to the UK and take a look. But anyway, what's the buzz? So Trump has abruptly canceled, and probably because he's sick. And Donald Trump is very sick. Okay? He's like really sick. Let me tell you what happened. I found this story that no one's paying attention to in the mainstream media because they're not interested in the facts. And of course, poor Europe. We're going to talk about poor Europe today. They're just dying over there. But this is from the New Republic. Eli Lilly approved an obesity drug for a mystery 79-year-old patient. Questions are swirling over Donald Trump and his health after a bombshell report revealed a mystery man was getting unprecedented access to a weight loss drug. A 79-year-old man who was soon to be 80 has received unparalleled access to Eli Lilly's obesity drugs. Millions of Americans are eagerly awaiting access to Retatrutide, Retatrutide. Who makes up these fucking names? A powerful new drug from the pharmaceutical company Eli Lilly. But no one, has identified the person. One identified person has been able, only one, to gain premature access to the drug via the Food and Drug Administration's Compassionate Use Program. The FDA program is designed to prioritize access to experimental drugs for patients. By the way, this came about during AIDS. For patients with grave or life-threatening medical issues. Grave or life-threatening. And while the name of the individual is not known, several signs point to Donald Trump. A senior clinician at the National Institute of Health, Ranganath Muniyappa, I'm making that up, requested access to the drug for the unnamed patient in April. They cited a diagnosis of refractory obesity with obstructive sleep apnea, pulmonary hypertension, which is hypertension of the lungs, a potentially life-threatening disease characterized by high blood pressure in the lungs. The request reportedly drew the attention of the top health officials, which STAT then noted was indicative of the patient's influence. Hello? What one
If you're not
79-year-old
visiting reallycorel.com daily, you're missing out. Get the podcast, videos, and the blog, including recipes at reallycorel.com. That's really KAREL.com.
Showtime is here, no time to fear. Corel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Corel is the one that you need to know.
So a lot of people are waiting for this new obesity drug, Raganatitude or whatever it is. And one 79-year-old man, one in the entire country, one got access to it under the grave injury and or death parameter. Based on the vague parameters of the patient's identity, STAT reached out to the White House to see if the recipient could possibly be Donald Trump, who similarly suffers from obesity and has publicly expressed interest in obesity drugs. I always wondered why they didn't put him on a GLP-1. The White House did not explicitly deny that the patient was Trump. When asked if Trump was the 79-year-old man in question, White House spokesperson Kush Desai did not say no, and instead referred STAT to the Department of Health and Human Services. The president was 79 at the time. When asked if Trump had obstructive sleep apnea and pulmonary hypertension, Desai offered Trump's latest medical evaluation as a counter, which he falsely claimed covered this, according to STAT. It does not, according to STAT. The memo makes no mention of either disease. HHS did not address the issue of the retratitude or the patient's identity. The FDA supports expanded access programs that can provide patients with serious or life-threatening conditions access to investigational treatments when no comparable or satisfying approved therapies are available. Look, Andrew got drugs under this statute, and a lot of my friends with AIDS did. Of course, later their arms fell off or their eyes fell out or something, but each request is reviewed on a case-by-case basis based on the clinical circumstances and applicable statutory and regulatory requirements. In a public exchange with STAT over X later Tuesday morning, Desai specified that the application was not for the president. The STAT reporter Lizzie Lawrence responded that she had asked several federal agencies multiple times on Monday, but no one had answered her questions directly, and that she did not believe Desai. Whoever the patient is, they had been previously treated with other obesity drugs, such as Ozempic, though sources who spoke with STAT indicate the patient experienced only moderate weight loss as a result. They reportedly recommended against bariatric surgery because of the patient's age and comorbidity. Donald Trump is getting an experimental drug that you and I can't get, and he's getting it because he's really, really sick. Okay? I mean, that's just the way that is. And, you know. So he has canceled the bipartisan signing this morning of a bill that both sides want, so I don't understand why he would have any trouble with it. Unless, of course, he's sick, because he's 80 and he's sick. And I don't even know why they won't announce it. What's the big deal? We all have eyes. Okay, we can see he's not a well man. I mean, we can't recall him. I don't know are they afraid of the 25th Amendment? Why won't they release how sick he really is? Are they just afraid that someone will invoke the 25th? I don't know. I don't know. What I do know is It's getting hot in here. Can I just say there was an unexpected monsoon in Las Vegas this morning? It's going to be 107 today, but it was pouring rain this morning. At 3 a.m., a crash of thunder so loud it woke the entire valley. Everybody I've talked to this morning said, oh my God, 3 o'clock, jumped out of bed. We all did. Ember did. I did. Steve Cabral did. Everyone I know did. Jeannie and Sherry did at the park. Everybody I spoke to at the park. Everybody. Even the homeless people commented about it. And I'm not making that up. I talked to the homeless people. And even they, we're like, so there's that. And so on the way home, it poured. I didn't expect it. We walked to the park. It's an hour and 40-minute walk. And 20 minutes in, it started raining, and it stayed raining the entire time. Ember and I'm going to cry because Ember and I got drenched, and we ran in the rain, and I took off my shirt, and I sang the Wet album at the top of my voice. I was out there walking through Desert Breeze Park singing, "Kiss me in the rain, make me feel like a child again. Bring back all those memories." Oh, yes. With the feeling that I get, I don't even mind if I get wet. Oh, and Ember was just so cute, all soaking wet and running next to her daddy. Oh, my. See, I'm going to get all verklempt. It was a beautiful morning. Drenched to the gills. But it was 95 degrees out. So drenched to the gills, 95 degrees, my little girl and I running in the rain. God, I'm going to miss her. Anyway, so it was great. But, okay, so sorry, I talked right through the break because I was just reminiscing. It was so fabulous. It was just so fabulous. But they don't have that luxury over in Europe. Take a look at this map, child. Look at that. Can you see? 93 in Zurich, 99 in Lyon. Lisbon is going to be a little bit cooler, 77. France, though, which is ground zero, 104 in Toulouse. We've got Zurich, Switzerland, which is normally not, that hot, 91. 106 in Tours, 105 in Paris. Over in London, if you can look at the map, it's going to be 36, which is 96 degrees Fahrenheit. Even in Warsaw, 82. I bet when we talk to our friend in Ukraine, he's going to say it's hot there. Italy, 87, 92 in Rome, 95 in Barcelona. Spain, look at Madrid. Dear God. Look at Spain. I mean, Spain is just hot as can be. 105 in Spain, 103, 104. They're not set up for this. They had 40 deaths because of the weather yesterday, and they're probably going to have a lot more. This is climate change at work. This is the most rapidly heating area in the world. Only 11% of people in the region I just showed you have air conditioning. It is really tragic what's going on over there right now. And my thoughts are with them because what else can we do, right? I mean, we can't go over there and cool them down. You know what I'm saying? We can't go cool them down. So our thoughts are with the people over there, and we hope with everything in our soul that you stay safe, because we gotta muddle through it. So I'm pulling something up for you that I did yesterday and that I'm very proud of, and I want to show it before I do this next topic, okay? So I am doing the single, As You Know, You Have to Be Proud. I played it for you yesterday. I did the album cover yesterday. I did it, and here it is. Take a look, people. Look at that. So that is the Stonewall Inn that you're looking at right behind that light pole. That is a photo that I took, that light pole and those buildings. I took that in New York. The Stonewall Place sign is real. The sign that says Corel is obviously redone. And then on the wall of the building behind the Stonewall Inn, you see me with a rainbow, and it says, "You have to be proud," like painted on the wall of the building. That building is directly behind. It is on Christopher Street. It is right behind. The riots occurred right around those two buildings. And that is the cover for You Have to Be Proud. And I am so very thrilled with that cover, and I did it myself. That is not AI. That photo is real. That photo was taken about 6 months ago of me. And the photo of the street sign is real. I just had AI take out the bushes that were around it and one way. There's a one-way street sign on it that I had it take out. And then, of course, I did the other in Photoshop on the building. So there it is, and that is great. And I show you that today. Thank you, Rachel. I show you that today because today is a very sad anniversary. Okay, today is a very, very sad anniversary. Today, the largest gay massacre occurred June 24th, 1973, up until the Pulse nightclub. And I say this because things are going badly this Pride Month all across the globe. They really are. And, you know, we've got gays that are saying they don't want trans people anymore. You got, it's going badly. You got corporations pulling out and people applauding them for that. You've got so many things going on. So today, June 24th, 1973, something happened that you don't know about, but I do, and there is a documentary about it that you should watch. Today, a fire took the lives of 32 gay people at the Upstairs Lounge in New Orleans. Now remember, this was 1973. Being gay was not fashionable, okay? There were no laws protecting gay people. So they still don't know who started the fire. They believe that a disgruntled patron who was thrown out of the bar for whatever reason came back with a gas can, locked the bottom door, because it's called the Upstairs Lounge for a reason. It was on the second story, locked the bottom door with a shovel so they couldn't get out, and then started a fire. 15 people jumped and lived. 32 died. There is a very famous picture of a person clinging to the bars of the window, and they are literally ash. They are burnt to a complete crisp, but they're still holding the bars of the window because they couldn't get out. 32 gay men and lesbians died a horrible death today in 1973. Those people were Joseph Henry Adams, Reginald Eugene Adams Jr., Guy Anderson, Joe William Bailey, Luther Boggs, Louise Horace Broussard, Herbert Dean Cooley, Donald Walter Dunbar, Adam Roland Fontenot, David Stewart Gary, Horace Getchell, John Thomas Golding, Gerald Hoyt Gordon, Glenn Richard Green, James Walls Hambrick, Kenneth Paul Harrington, Reverend William R. Larson, Ferris LeBlanc, Robert Lumpkin, Leon Maples, George Matia, Clarence Joseph McCloskey Jr., Dwayne George Mitch Mitchell, Larry Stratton, Eddie Warren, James Curtis Warren, Willie Inez Warren, Dr. Perry Lane Walters Jr., Douglas Maxwell Williams, Larry Norman Frost, and 2 victims that are unnamed. They never were ID'd. Now, the fire is a tragedy enough, okay? The fire in and of itself is a tragedy. But the worst problem, or the worst part, is that after the fire, first of all, the firemen didn't want to respond. They knew it was a gay bar, and they didn't really care. Second, afterwards, the newspapers openly joked about it. Openly joked. And the Catholic Church in New Orleans, A, refused to let priests or any diocese have funerals for the people that died, and B, if priests called for prayers at Sunday service for the victims, they were chastised by the church. Everyone acted like the gay people deserved it. And subsequently, even if you just ask like Chat GPT, explain the reaction to the upstairs lounge fire. Okay, here we go. Because it'll tell you. The upstairs lounge fire is almost as historically as important as the fire itself. An arson attack at the upstairs lounge, a gay bar in the French Quarter of New Orleans, killed 32 people and injured many others. At the time, it was the deadliest attack on gay Americans in U.S. history, which would only be outdone by the Pulse nightclub shooting where 49 died. What shocked many survivors wasn't the fire, it was what happened afterwards. Public indifference. And can you see this happening today? I can. Much of the city reacted with indifference. Local officials largely remained silent. No major public mourning was organized, and many newspapers gave the story limited coverage, despite it being the deadliest fire in all of New Orleans history. The deadliest fire ever in the city's history, and the papers didn't even cover it, or just gave it a blur. And you wonder why we need Pride Month. I could see this happening now.
Patreon is the way to show you care. Subscribe today if you dare. Keep the show on there. Patreon is the way. Now it's showtime.
Some reactions to the upstairs lounge fire were openly cruel. One police officer reportedly dismissed the tragedy by saying, "This was, after all, a queer bar." Some radio commenters mocked the victims and made jokes like, "I guess there were a bunch of flaming queens," on the radio. I got reprimanded for playing Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead the day that Ronald Reagan died, or for going on the radio the day that Pope John Paul died, saying I didn't like him and he was evil. I got chastised for saying fuck Joe the plumber. Radio commentators in New Orleans went on for the greatest fire in the city's history and the largest gay massacre ever and said, I guess it really was just a bunch of flaming queens that set the fire. They actually said that it was because the queens were so flaming that the place burned down. On air. Jokes were made about the dead rather than expressions of sympathy in all media and by many public officials. Author Johnny Townsend later argued that while the fire itself may not have been motivated by anti-gay hatred, the community's response effectively became a hate crime of its own. So while it might have been started by a gay guy who was mad that he got kicked out of the bar, it became a hate crime because of the way New Orleans reacted. The most painful reaction came from churches. Of course, good God-fearing Christians. Many churches refused to hold funerals for the dead. Archbishop Philip Hannon denied Catholic funeral services for many victims. Families often struggled to find clergy that were even willing to conduct memorials. The Metropolitan Community Church was one of the few that stepped in. Families refused to claim the bodies. Some families would not claim their loved ones' remains because they were ashamed that their relatives were gay. Several victims were buried in unmarked graves and Potter's Field because no one came forward to claim them. Imagine surviving World War II, raising a family, building a life, and then having your body left unclaimed because your family couldn't face the truth of who you were. That happened to many. The gay community, of course, reacted very differently. For many around the country, the fire became proof that they could not rely on police, politicians, churches, or the media for protection or dignity. This is my life. I was 11 when this happened. This is my life. This is what I have lived. Cops that wouldn't help me, that made fun of me when I was in danger. Public institutions that openly discriminated against me. Churches that still to this day preach hate against me. People who come in my chat room or who quote or go onto my videos and say homophobic and horrible slurs with zero repercussions. The social medias don't take them down. 50 years later, New Orleans largely acknowledged that it failed the victims. Memorials have been installed, annual ceremonies are held, and city leaders have formally recognized the injustice of the response. The Catholic Church in 2020, just 6 years ago, for an event that happened in 1973, the Catholic Church finally issued an apology. The tragedy is now remembered not only because of the 32 people who died, but because it exposed how disposable gay lives were considered by much of society. And we still are. Trans people are being killed in record numbers. Hate crimes against gays have soared 500% under Donald Trump. AIDS medication in the United States and in Africa and other nations has been cut by Donald Trump. We are dying again. The religious right say it's okay now under the law. The Supreme Court has said under the law that you don't have to serve a gay person if it's against your religious beliefs. You all wonder why I'm pissed. You all wonder why I get so angry all the time. Try living my life. Try it. I dare you. I dare you for a week. You don't think I'm still called faggot over at Desert Breeze Park? You know I am. You know that homeless guy held up a sign on the fucking corner of the park that I go to every day that said, God demands you kill homosexuals. Not in 1973, in 2026. And was he taken off the street? Was his sign destroyed? Nope. Nope. Every time MAGA attacks trans people, does anybody come to their aid? No. Even some gay people are now jumping ship on trans people. You all wonder why I want to leave this country? You all wonder why I am angry a majority of the time? Try being gay in America now, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, they let us die. They made jokes. If you saw the pictures of the upstairs lounge of people clinging to the bars whose bodies are just solid ash, and radio hosts got to call them flaming queens. The Catholic Church, the largest child rape ring in the world, made fun of victims and refused to let their clergy reach out to the members of the community. Families left their loved ones sitting in the morgue unclaimed to be buried in Potter's Field because they were ashamed they were gay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It is hard for me to continue this show right now, because I hurt so much for those people and the people at Pulse nightclub and the trans person today that is going to be met with hatred and bigotry. For everyone during Pride Month just trying to be themselves and facing online hatred and bigotry just like in 1973. It makes me just want to leave, to get out of this backwards nation. It makes me want people to die, and I don't like to feel that way. I sometimes wish every homophobic... someone is posting that someone in Palestine said as soon as we have a Palestine, we will cleanse it of all the gays. And they said, see, you shouldn't support Palestine. You should support Israel. And I said, why? I got Christians in this country saying the same damn thing right now. I ain't got to look to Palestine.
It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Corralcast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Corralcast, driving you home or driving you crazy. It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Carellcast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Carellcast. Driving you home or driving you crazy.
Now it's your time.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I really am sorry. I didn't know this topic would affect me so much. I didn't. But I feel it as bad today as it was then. Some 50 plus years ago. And that hatred is right back. It's right here. It's back in full force. MAGA would say the same things today online that they said in 1973. And if you think they wouldn't, you're not fucking paying attention, okay? You're not me. You're not hearing what I hear and seeing what I see. I know most of you find this appalling. You're my listeners. You're my friends. You're my fans. I know that you hurt with me. I know that you empathize and you know how terrible and horrible what went on today in 1973 is. I know that. But we're not the majority. I will never understand how me just being me and how my friends just being my friends bring on so much hatred. During AIDS, which wasn't long after 1973, I watched a generation of my beautiful friends just die. Lorenzo Clark Braxton, Rula, Tracy Montclair, Gary Alexander, Andrew Lee Howard. I watched vibrant, lively, creative, incredible humans wither and die in weeks and months, and nobody cared. Nobody. Ronald Reagan didn't care. Nobody cared. The CDC didn't care. Most of the general public didn't care. They made the same jokes during AIDS. They made jokes in the White House press corps on camera about people dying of AIDS. Have you ever seen someone die of AIDS? Have you been in the room when they killed themselves? Have you brought things to a party to help them kill themselves? Have you held their hand and told them that it's okay to go? That it's okay, Gary, you can go now. You don't have to hold on anymore. Have you? Have you gone to their funerals and had to fight through Reverend Phelps and Reverend Sheldon's people that had signs in front of the funerals that said they deserved to die, that they got what they deserved? Have you been locked out of the hospital room because you couldn't legally be married? And your partner of years and years was dying alone because the family said to keep you out? Have you gone to funerals for fabulous drag queens only to see that their family has them in a suit and a tie and all kinds of boy makeup? Have you ever had to slam a coffin closed? I did. I slammed Gary's coffin closed and I turned and looked at everyone there and said, damn you all to hell. He lived with me for 9 years and I never saw one of you motherfuckers at our house. And now you're going to sit here and grieve? You're going to have him in man clothes? I slammed the coffin closed. Baggage? Yeah, I've got a little. And I've got every right to be pissed. Every right. Because today, in 1973, 32 people burned to death. And then nobody cared. And it would happen again today. Nothing has changed.
If you're not visiting reallycorel.com daily, you're missing out. Get the podcast videos and the blog, including recipes, at reallycorel.com. That's really KAREL.com.
Showtime is here, no time to fear. Corel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Corel is the one that you need to know.
You know, you wonder, how does a person deal? How did I deal? I became Corel. That's how I dealt. I sang at first and released singles. And then radio came along. I didn't look for radio. It came along. And suddenly I'm breaking a barrier in radio for gay people. Taking death threats. The personal toll that it took between Andrew and I, all the fighting that went on between us because of the stress we were under because we were gay. KFI, we weren't treated well by everybody at KFI, and I certainly wasn't treated well by people at KGO. The things that KGO radio did to me are litigious today. The double standard, the comments made by other hosts on air, Bill Wattenberg and others, the horrible things they said. Bill Wattenberg saying that I was a liberal that had someone's hand up my ass moving my mouth and I enjoyed it. And he was allowed to say that. But I was told I could not reply on air to anything that Wattenberg might have said or Ron Owens might have said. I was told I couldn't be on the radio after 7 o'clock at night or before. KGO Radio San Francisco would not let me fill in any spot prior to 7 p.m. I could not fill in for Ron Owens in the morning. I could not fill. That is discriminatory. They made it clear that the gay guy could only go on the radio after 7 o'clock at night. Fuck you, Mickey Luckoff. And Jack Swanson for going along with it. And Trish Robbins for going along with it. Brian Copeland suffered the same thing. Poor thing, he's in the hospital. He had open heart surgery. Brian Copeland, he's not doing well, but he's going to recover. You think that all this happened in ancient history. KGO radio was hell for me. They flew me. They wouldn't give me a raise. They wouldn't give me a budget for anything. And yet they spent $1,800 to fly me up on Christmas Eve. I had to go. Why? So Mickey Luckoff could berate me. For what? Well, at the Christmas party 4 days earlier, there was a camera on the table and women were taking out their boobs and they were taking photos on this strange camera. So when they developed the film, this person would see boobs. So I turned around and showed my ass and they took a picture of that. Who got reported by Bill Wattenberg? The girls pulling out their tits? No, me. And Mickey Luckoff made Trish Robbins fly me up there. He told them to keep me off the floor and make me wait downstairs, but they said no and had me wait in Trish's office. He literally said I couldn't go on the floor at KGO. And he took me in his office and he berated me and humiliated me and said homophobic things to me beyond the pale, made me apologize and grovel if I wanted to keep my job. And I did. And I went downstairs and I cried so hard before getting back on the plane to get home for Christmas Eve. And the reason I cried was because I had to grovel. I could have said no, fuck you, and not had a job. No one else at KGO had to do that. Nobody but me. You all think KGO was such a good time for me? It was fucking hell. Every single week, I was reminded I was different and that there were different rules for me. And every gay person goes through that, not just me. And you wonder why we need a Pride Month. You know, you wonder why. Oh, in the chat room, I would have reported him. I would have gotten an attorney. There was no laws protecting me. 2003 to 2015, you act like an attorney could have got a settlement in court. There were no laws protecting gay people from discrimination. And in 31 states, it is still legal to fire someone for being gay. You seem to think there's someone out there protecting us legally. Grow up. There was no recourse, and KGO knew it. They knew there was nothing I could do because it was legal. As Bette Midler says, let's change our head. That wasn't the topic I wanted to do today. But maybe y'all needed to hear that on this day of the Upstairs Lounge. How every gay person goes through that. How trans people are going through that today when they have to fucking piss and they walk up to a bathroom door and they don't know which one to go in because they might be fucking arrested. Good Christians. Mickey Lukoff considers himself a Christian. I'm sure Jack Swanson and Trish Robbins, I'm sure they consider themselves Christians. David Hall at KFI was nice to us. Phil Hendry was nice to us. John and Ken went on air and did a half-hour anti-gay, homophobic rant about me and Andrew. So much so that the ACLU contacted them. We didn't even know they had contacted them to possibly sue them on our behalf, and we didn't even know it because it was that bad. The next morning, we went into KFI after their rant, and people couldn't look at us because they didn't know how we were going to respond. We didn't listen to it. We didn't hear it. And then Estella Marroquin gave us a tape, and we heard a half hour of the worst homophobia that you have ever heard live on the #1 talk station in the country. And what happened to John and Ken? They got a fucking bonus and went to KABC. And then went back to KFI, where Ken retired, or John, Ken retired, the gay one. That's what really hurt. One of them was gay. In the closet, of course. We talk about connection. I wanted to talk about connection today and how we have become so disconnected in the era of telephones and phones and internet and text messaging and all of it that we are just so disconnected. And the proof that we are disconnected is how we accept all of the bad behavior going on. Every morning at Desert Breeze Park, I see a shit ton of homeless people. A shit ton. And no one does anything. And in your community, it's everywhere. It's unacceptable. The #1 job of police right now should be cleaning up our streets, getting the homeless off our streets. We should not have to see it. They should not be out there. Other countries have solved their problems. But we just find it acceptable now. It's not acceptable. But we find it. We just look at it and say, there's nothing we can do. And we just drive on. Homelessness, acceptable. Poverty, acceptable. People going bankrupt for medical care, acceptable. People not being able to access health care, acceptable. Seniors being thrown into the streets or being thrown into hellholes because they don't have enough money, acceptable. Social Security about to collapse, acceptable. Poverty, acceptable. Crime, acceptable. School shootings, acceptable. Look at what we accept in American culture. Donald Trump, acceptable. Well, he's not acceptable to me, Carell. Well, he's still fucking there, ain't he? So somebody accepts it. We live in horrible times if we truly look at things because climate change, what's happening in Europe today, acceptable. What can we do? We can do plenty, but we won't because we are disconnected. We are all living negative comments. Go read under my videos at Carell Official on Instagram or Official Carell on TikTok. Go read the comments. They're unacceptable by any standard. No one should be allowed to say online what they're saying about me. It's unacceptable. And yet, there they are. There's all the comments. All we accept now is bad. How we're treating trans people, unacceptable. Unacceptable. But we accept it because we feel powerless to change it. But if we all felt connected, if we all felt that we could pull together and do things together, that we were stronger together, then we wouldn't feel that it was acceptable and we'd be able to change it. But we don't. I am so tired of America. Someone please just, Nigel Farage got a $5 million gift from a Chinese guy. $5 million. Just for him. A private gift for him because he needs security and, he's not making a lot of money because he's out campaigning and all of that. So this rich Chinese businessman that agrees with his politics gave him $5 million. Just a gift, $5 million. Not to use for anything specific. Just here. You deserve this. You deserve a good life. You deserve a happy life, Nigel Farage. Here's $5 million. Why doesn't someone fucking do that to me? I deserve a good life because I would leave. I don't know that I'd go to Paris, although I'd love that city, but I can't take heat. So if it's going to start heating up, then Lisbon is staying cool. Dublin is staying cool. Wow, what a show. What a show today. I do believe that Carell was discriminated against by KGO. Well, your belief, thank you for your belief, Suzanne, but your belief doesn't matter. I was discriminated against by KGO. It's not a belief. I could list time after time after time. They had double rules for me. I could tell you the homophobic things Mickey Lukoff said to my face often. Often. It wasn't, I believe, they did. Just like KFI did. They wouldn't pay us over scale at KFI. Every other drive time host, the two combined made over $1 million a year. Andrew and I made $200,000 combined. Now, we thought that was incredible, but we were the lowest paid afternoon drive host in Los Angeles history. Andrew and I. Why? Because we were gay. And that's what they told us. Well, you're an experiment. You're gay. So, so they paid us the least they could pay us at KFI. AFTRA scale, $119,000 a year. That's what they paid us. John and Ken were each getting $800,000 a year. Bill Handel gets over $1 million a year. You wonder why I'm poor. I'm poor because all my life in entertainment, I was never paid what other people were paid simply because I'm gay. I can do the same job as they can. And I know a lot of you relate, especially if you're women. If you're a woman, you know exactly what I'm saying because you've lived this very same reality. If you're a white man, you don't know shit. You don't know anything that I'm talking about unless you're gay. But if you're a woman or black or a minority, you get it. You're like, oh, amen, Carell. And what are we supposed to do? All right, another interesting story I found out there. KGO isn't in the opening jingle. There's no KGO. I don't reference KGO anymore in my song. So I read this interesting story. If you're under 50, you're getting more cancers than people over 50. And that's not supposed to be that way. And they now know why. This is really interesting. It's from the Times of London. Basically, younger people, their cells are aging faster. So people in their 40s have a colon that's in its 70s. And I'm not making this up. They've done the research. They just did 150,000 surveys of medical records in the UK and 50,000 records in the United States. And they now have a test, a genomic test, to test the age of the cells. And what they have found is that a 40-year-old today has cells my age, 63. Can you imagine? And they're not sure why that young people are now aging on a cellular level faster than ever before. Biologically, there are 40-year-olds that are 70 inside. Their kidneys, their colon, their other organs, their heart. Young people under 50 are getting old people illnesses because their organs are aging faster than they should be. And they can't figure out why. They don't know. Is it environment? Is it the food? Is it stress? They don't know. But they do know that it's happening. They have the genomic proof. They have the biological proof. If you're under 50, you're aging faster than people over 50 internally, your organs. You have little old organs inside, little old kidneys, little old liver.
Patreon is the way to show you care. Subscribe today if you dare. Keep the show on there. Patreon is the way. Now it's show time.
You know, we don't have to go back to KGO. Isn't that interesting, though, that younger people are now aging faster than older people? Isn't that? Why do you think it is? I think it's the food. I do. I think it's the food. I think that younger people are eating crappy food. That's what I think. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I think. I think older people or younger people are eating really crappy food. I don't think they're exercising. And I think that their body is responding. I also think there's more stress, that they have. And subsequently, they're aging faster. It's sad, but it's happening. you know? So let's see. What are we doing? Whatever. All right. I did not mean for the show to go the way that it went today. I didn't. I really didn't. I mean, what do you care? How does it affect your life that I was discriminated against about KGO? I want the show to be more about what's going on in your world than going on in mine. But with the upstairs lounge tragedy being today, and reading those 32 names and then looking at look at what Trump is doing to gay people. He is just setting us back hundreds of years with Project 2025. And today alone, he's not helping the country. He hasn't gotten to that signing yet of this housing bill. And why? Because he's some sick old man who can't show up? Then have J.D. Vance do it. The Democrats, they've got a rude awakening in New York. Every Democratic socialist that Mamdani endorsed won, even beating a Kennedy. I'm a Democratic socialist. I am. That's what. There's finally a word for what I am. I am a Democratic socialist. I believe in socialism. I believe that we need to take and make energy free for everybody. Just generate it and make it free because it comes free from the sun. I believe water. I believe every essential for human life should be provided by government. Water, clean air, electricity, internet, and housing, if you can't afford it, and food. I truly believe in socialism. That as a society, we are better when we all help each other. I do not believe there should be trillionaires like Elon Musk. I think we should take his money. We should take every billionaire's money and only leave them $900 million. That's it. You can survive on $900 million. I believe we should take anything over that. Just take it. Tax it at 99%. Leave them 1%. And it's been done before. After World War I and World War II, any income above $1 million was taxed at 97%. And guess what? They were still rich. So Mamdani won big in New York in terms of the people that he endorsed. The House has passed a bipartisan housing bill banning corporations from buying a lot of property, except Trump hasn't signed it. The U.S. Senate has voted to end Trump's Iran war in a rare rebuke of his war powers. He'll ignore them. That's what the Senate doesn't understand. They can pass this bill, You know, the Senate votes to direct end to Iran war, rebuking Trump's on war powers. He doesn't care. And he has immunity. He can break every law in the world while he's in the office. The Supreme Court has said so. He has immunity. I wanted to talk, though, today about Toy Story 5, because Toy Story 5 is about human connection and how when this electronic toy takes over and the analog toys feel left out, how they have to find a way to reconnect with the girl and make her use them again. It's really about human connection. That's what Toy Story 5 is about, human connection. And I really want to talk about that because if we were really connected, there wouldn't be homelessness. If we really were connected, there wouldn't be poverty. People wouldn't be stressing over healthcare. People wouldn't be alone as they age. If we were really connected, if we still connected to each other. But we think friending someone online or liking their post or commenting under their video is connection. It's not. We are humans and we need human connection. And we live in an era where that is becoming less and less prevalent. Maybe that's why young people are aging so fast. I mean, really. What are they connected to? A phone. Electronics. Maybe their bodies are responding. Maybe they're just living faster. I don't know. It's really weird. Extreme heat melting national records across Europe. Yes, we know. Dispute over nuclear inspection. Show how U.S. and Iran are negotiating in public. Because there's no settlement. There's no end to the war. There is no peace. It's all a fucking lie. What else? Democrats, socialists are coming for 2028. Good. Good. Comedian Guy Branum on what the old gays remember. I'll tell you what the old gays remember. They didn't need to go to him. We remember pain. That's, if you're a gay and you're over 60, you remember great pain. That's what you remember. Oh yeah, joy and happiness and love and life and disco and fabulousness. But you also remember pain. The pain of AIDS, of a pandemic taking your friends. Trump cancels signing of landmark bipartisan bill. It doesn't say why. Why not? Why does it not say? President Donald Trump canceled his approval of landmark bill aimed at lowering Americans' housing costs just hours ahead of the signing. Both chambers were ready. Trump wrote on social media that he would not sign the bill until a separate law on a stringent voter ID requirement is passed. Oh, great. So he's blackmailing. So he's got a bill in front of him, bipartisan, to help the Americans find a home, but he won't sign it until he gets his way on a voter ID requirement. Impeach the fucker now. God, we have to win the midterms. He's got to go. Either die or be impeached. One of the two. He needs to just croak because he's sick as hell or be impeached. He's got to go. This man cannot stay in office for 2.5 more years. He cannot. Wonder how MAGA feels. He won't sign a bill to make it easier for them to own a home because he's not getting his way. Oh, now that I've read that, I'm even angrier. I thought maybe he was sick or something, but no. U.S. support is Israel's true weakness, according to the New York Times. Oh, no shit. All right. Love you. Be back tomorrow. I am Pharrell. Be who you want to be, so I'm Turn Buddy. We will have a This Day week on Friday. Following week, we'll be back. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, follow along, youtube.com/Willie Carell.
It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Carellcast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Carellcast. Driving you home or driving you crazy. It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Carellcast on your favorite streaming service.
Showtime is here, no time to fear.